Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Thanks, John. It's time for Coffee Ann on ON Radio. John's giving me hand signals over here. That's right, because it works so well on radio.
That's right. Everybody can see that.
All right, my name's Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us. Let's introduce the Coffee Ann panel. There's Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union. Hi,
Good
Tim.
morning, Joe, and
Welcome
everyone.
back after 2 weeks off.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
Not
it's
really
okay.
off, though, right? Not
That wasn't
really
really
off,
off.
just
I
off
was
from
working.
us.
Away, I should
Away
say.
from
Yeah,
us,
he's
yeah.
away.
Had to do my job.
It's good that you have a leisurely life.
Melissa Smith of the St. Antoine Communities. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning, everybody.
And John Ward is here as well. Hi, John.
From the Woonsocket community.
Did you say Jean?
Good morning, everyone.
Jean.
John Ward.
It's Jean Ward.
Jean.
We're going to break out into Les Mis in a minute if we keep going. Oh, my God.
I was listening to the obits and I recognized one of the names. It was the sister of one of the guys, Mr. Patnode, Vivian Patnode, I believe, was a teacher in Woonsocket back when I was a small
A
boy.
lad. All right. Well,
We're going to have static
I know,
shocks
I got
over
static
here.
It's hot in here.
But it's time for the first message.
it is time for a first message from Melissa in the St. Antoine Communities.
Right. So for those of you that don't know a lot about St. Antoine Community, we are a large long-term care campus located in North Smithfield, and we're on the line of Blackstone, Mass. and Woonsocket. And on our property, we offer an expansive continuum of services that range from assisted living to short and long-term skilled care. We have a state-of-the-art rehab center, a private hospice suite, as well as a large secured memory care unit. And the two buildings on our property are the Villa at St. Antoine, which is our 76-apartment assisted living facility, and the Residence at St. Antoine, which is our 180-bed short and long-term skilled care facility. So if you are presently at a crossroads with your loved one and trying to determine when is the right time to seek more help and support, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'd be happy to walk you through your options. You can reach me at 401-767-3500 or email me at msmith@santantoine.net.
All right, Melissa. Now, speaking of Les Mis, did you see what happened in New York City at a production of Les Miserables?
Is this like a recent story?
Yeah, like within the last
I didn't know if I
week.
needed to dig into my archives of, no.
No?
Then my answer is no.
I heard something about something happening at the show.
At the big show, the big number at the end,
Yeah.
where all the cast on stage singing
Yeah.
some song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of people just jumped up on stage and held up flags. They're the green people. No more fossil fuel.
Oh, boy.
Stop
Really?
They got up and started
Really?
yelling and screaming about you shouldn't. We're going to stop burning oil. And the actors are all.
Oh, no.
Everything stopped, and the actors just looking at them, and they shuffled the actors off the stage, and they finally got the people. Okay, go ahead.
And that's
But
my
it was-
favorite song in the
it's
end,
right
too.
in the
One
middle-
day more.
It's right in the middle of the big number at the
You're
end.
kidding me.
How do you get banners into a show? I mean, they search you when you
Roll
go in.
them up.
Well, they were
Search you.
They're just
4 by
lucky-
4.
They're just lucky I wasn't an actor on the stage. They would have had a
I'm
foot
surprised.
pushing them back into the orchestra.
The actors
Right
did
now,
have
the-
guns in their hand and
Yeah, but
spears
they-
and all that other stuff.
But they just look confused. Like there's someone up on stage that shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
What are they? They're not even in tune with us.
Right. Oh, man.
So yeah, that happened in New York City.
So that's
about
just
Broadway.
weird. I
It
mean,
is- it's odd.
you're watching the show. You have this moment planned in your head.
Yeah, and it's all completely ruined.
What
and
a
then what do you
waste.
do? Do you come back? Do you start from the beginning? Not the beginning of the play, but the beginning of the song, and just
I
do the
don't
whole thing
know.
all
I don't know
over
what you
again?
do. I hope
do,
so.
Do those people think that they're going to move anybody to a change in their social thinking by doing that on stage? In front of a show, like you said, that you're waiting for your
This
favorite part of the
big
show, and then
finale.
these idiots get on stage and they do
Yeah.
that. That just makes me
Does the
not like
opposite.
their message
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
They should have picked up the show back where the line was fire.
It's too bad you weren't there, John.
Oh, you would have
Done, done a cannon blast right across their face.
Well, after the usual stunned silence from the crowd, they did start booing them. So
Oh, good.
Get
yeah.
out of here.
Good for them.
Well,
It's
it
the
reminds
same-
me of the oh my gosh, not U.S. Open. My head is just all over the place. Tennis, New York City. It was
that's the US
the
Open.
Open.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
My World Cup, U.S. Open, everything mixed up right now. Same thing, like the fans in the audience, like cemented in a protest, cemented their feet
Yeah.
to the stupid stands.
Right,
I'm like,
yeah.
what are you hoping to achieve other than just?
Notoriety. I'll
Notori-
get on the news.
So there's gonna be more and more of this stuff because the
I
news
guess.
reports it, and
Yeah.
we share stories like it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, they jump on World Cup soccer matches. They run around with
They do.
the stuff painted on themselves, and look at me, kind of thing.
Attention.
Someone
ladies,
was just
attention.
streaking in a baseball game. Didn't I just hear? I was watching.
That's
what
old
game
school.
was that? The other night. No, it was a recent game, Saturday night.
No,
Where
but I
was-
mean, the streaking is old school.
Oh yeah,
that's
that
the
is
old
old
way to
school. That
put
movie, yeah. But yeah, everyone wants attention. Ugh.
I know. All right. So, John, how'd things go with the Lions Club at Autumn Fest? Selling the Doughboys?
Well,
Yeah.
I would call it probably a slightly above average weekend because I think there was a little fear of rain that never came on
Right.
Saturday.
Until Saturday
And
night.
so that tended to hold down sales somewhat for everybody in the food row. And Sunday made up for a lot of that, or didn't quite make up for it, but it was a good busy day for everybody. And Monday was busy. And we kept going right up to the end at 6 o'clock. So it was, I don't know the numbers, but it was probably a good year.
All right.
Not the best year, but a good year.
No,
Last year was like one of the best
gangbuster years, yeah.
Yeah, it was big.
All right, great. And you didn't go to Autumn Fest, did you, Melissa? This
I was
year?
not able to go.
No, and Tim was out of town. So
Yep.
the Prince guy on Sunday night was a blockbuster. Just packed him in from all over. It was really, really crowded. The crowd absolutely loved him. Put on a great show too.
That was Saturday.
That was Sunday night.
Because the Cranberries were Saturday.
Cranberry was Saturday. It rained on them,
Yeah.
which is too bad. They had the funny story because they flew in from Seattle and the plane was delayed. Yeah. And first of all, it was supposed to arrive at 2.
Yep.
They got delayed. Arrived around 4:30 at Logan. Had to rent a car. Had to figure out how to get out of Logan Airport.
What time were they playing?
8. They didn't get down here until closer to 7.
Oh,
And so they were cutting it close. They were real nervous.
yikes.
So, but they made it. And they
Wasn't
were
there an
they
issue
were
with
good
the?
too.
Didn't they have to change schedules with somebody? Flip flop a show?
That was not them.
Oh, it was
that
not
was
them.
another
Okay.
group that flip flop
Yeah.
days that
Yeah.
they were.
But that
on,
was
so.
that was a good story too, right? They managed to work that out amongst themselves, and then
Yeah, one musical act called the other musical act without calling us first.
Yeah.
And say, would you mind switching? Same time but different day, and
Yeah.
he said okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then they
People do cooperate,
And then
see?
they decided to call us and say, "Hey, this is what we've done."
Oh,
Well, as
okay.
long as everybody's all on the same page. Okay.
Well, better than them calling you saying we can't do this, and then you guys having to figure it out.
That was one act this year.
Mm.
Called us on 6 days before. Hey, we're not coming.
Oh,
Sorry about that, but we can't make it. Issues and whatever the problem is. So there's a little bit of a scramble when it's 6 days before the event's supposed to take place.
Right.
Now we're going to find somebody else.
right,
But
and
that
everything's
worked-
printed, and
yeah, but that worked out okay. We were able to find an act that fit it right in.
right. But overall, I heard it was a very good weekend.
Overall, went very well. And the Harvest Garden and the new Harvest on the Main, the two drinking areas, were very respectful, and everything was well behaved, and no issues.
I didn't get there. That must be why.
I never saw the cops running once in there, or running people out, or people stumbling out of this place. So
Oh.
it was it went over quite well.
Good.
It's a little different atmosphere than it was before.
Well, that's right. We changed it over 2 years ago from the Harvest Garden, from the beer tent, and got rid of the chain link fence, and got rid of the colors, and got rid of the you can't say better bands. You got to say, well, softer, I guess, music
yeah.
in there instead of
More
the hard
yacht
rock.
rockish.
Yeah. So it's really helped out. And I'm a big fan of Bar Rescue. And you say what you want about John Taffer, but he's absolutely
That's
right. If women are going to go into the bar, the men will just follow. And you've got to make it pleasing for the women to come in, and the men will, follow.
So in other words,
and buy it. And that's what we did.
Entirely sexist, but wine and
That's
not
right.
necessarily
Right.
beer.
That's
and,
right. We had the wine and the seltzers.
Yep,
Yep.
seltzers. Yep.
And so that's what we did. We toned it down, made it more friendly for the women.
There you go.
And you get more women.
Perfect. It's a great work. It's a great model.
Good.
Works perfectly. So
More women and less social difficulties.
yes, and they got rid of the tap lines, so there's no kegs of beer
Yep.
anymore. So there's no more spilling beer on each other.
Okay.
Or
It's all
or
cans
drinks.
and bottles and stuff.
It's all cans.
cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the seltzers are in cans. And
Yeah.
you don't pour it in a glass. You just drink it out of the can, which makes it less spillage and less spilling on you, and
Yeah.
and no fighting this way.
Right, but you
Less
got to have more
bees.
waste
Sorry.
receptacles. I
Trying
would
to think of the
imagine, right?
bees.
Yes.
What?
The bees.
I think of the bees with less spillage. You go to a beer fest
yeah.
event,
No, no.
tons of bees because of the cake spilling
the bees
area.
are all hanging around the sugar at the Lions Club.
The doughboys.
Get away from the powdered sugar there. All right, things going on, as we all know, tough in the Mideast. Just ugliness. And there's a church group from Rhode Island that is, you can't say they're stuck there, but they're looking to get out. And they're not quite stuck yet, but they're worried because all the planes are just canceling flights in and out.
Yeah.
I know I just saw an article about them shuttling a whole group of Mexican citizens out of there. I don't know if the government's going to have to step in and fly planes in to get American citizens out that are wanting to leave.
Now, this group in Rhode Island is supposed to return today, and it's 2 pastors and 7 members of the Victory Church in Providence. They're in the Galilee area, which is in northern Israel, which is not near the Gaza Strip. But they keep seeing the jet fighters flying overhead all day and all the time now.
There's been, I think 2 days ago, I heard 12 missiles that came in from Hezbollah and Lebanon, and some missiles came flying in from Syria yesterday.
So this group has made contact with Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse. Hey, in case we have a problem, we're really going to need your help getting out of here. So nothing to report yet that they're still there. Not sure what time they're supposed to be flying out of there, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, the wedding I was at this weekend for my cousin, his aunt is in Tel Aviv, and they were all somewhat worried at the wedding, what was going to happen. It was after the initial attack, and she was okay. They had been in touch with her. But,
How'd they get in touch with her? There's lots of people haven't been.
Yeah,
able to touch.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't ask.
I think
the
if I
question.
were over there, I would try to figure out how to get as close as I possibly can to the hotels where the press is staying.
Right, because it never seems to
affect them for some reason.
Yeah, although they did have one reporter.
did.
One reporter the other day was staying in a building in the background. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, I saw one of a image of a woman reporter who was laying on the ground with a guy behind her who was maybe with the camera crew or something, and then another one from Fox ended up having to run to a shelter
There were sirens in the back.
because the bombs were dropping close
coming.
by. But I've never seen Anderson Cooper have to duck and dodge.
No, or Lester Holt or any of those guys.
He's in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
All right. Now, did you hear about the criticism from Harvard University about this whole thing?
Well, they sent a letter supporting totally
What a bunch
blaming
of
Israel.
morons.
No, not Harvard.
No,
34
student groups. Oh, 34
Groups. Student
Okay.
groups.
Harvard.
They blamed Israel
Yeah.
for everything. And the criticism that Harvard was getting was they didn't say anything.
That's right.
They finally did come out and say something. And let's see.
Don't tell me they're going to defend free speech after how many conservative speakers may have been banned from the campus.
That
No,
is
not that.
very true.
I did have it. Harvard President Claudine Gay is taking a stronger stance in a new statement on the Hamas attack in Israel. Gay yesterday said that she condemns the terrorist atrocities committed by Hamas, and such inhumanity is abhorrent, regardless of a person's views on the religious region's conflicts. Harvard leadership was widely criticized after failing to rebuke a coalition of groups supporting Palestinians, issuing a statement blaming Israel for all the violence in the region. Gay says students have the right to speak for themselves, but no student group speaks for Harvard or its leadership. But it took them a
Wonder
while
who
to come out and say.
They must have the names of the groups, right? I'd be curious
Oh,
to
sure.
see who the.
I don't have them here, but they're going to let them. They're not going to disband the groups at Harvard. They're going to.
We're going
She
to
says it
encourage
right there.
them.
We encourage them to keep speaking your mind.
You know, I unfortunately being retired, though I was busy, I have made a habit of bouncing around between networks to see who's got what coverage and where they're going with it. And I have to say it, I've fallen on 2 shows that I think are amazing, both on News Nation, which is the former WGN out of Chicago that they turned into a national network called News Nation, and Leland Vidic, who does a show at 7 o'clock, and then Dan Abrams at 9 o'clock. They just ripped apart anybody who was trying to create some sort of moral equivalency or claim that, you know, they're defending the Palestinians as though
They're the ones that are right.
and I admit that citizens, the Palestinian citizens who who are just trying to live their life, I'm sure, are suffering greatly, and it's because of, oh yeah, let's not forget, it's because of their elected government called Hamas. They elected him back in 2007.
They did. Because there hasn't been an election since then.
And it is a terrorist organization. And to try to create some sort of equivalency in our congressional people in the squad talking about apartheid in Israel. Oh, what apartheid? There are Muslims that are serving in the Israeli Congress or whatever it is, a parliament, Israeli parliament. They have Muslim members. They have a Muslim on the Supreme Court of Israel. They have a democratic society. And they probably make mistakes and do stupid things, and they have cops that kill people that they shouldn't. But it happens. It happens in this country. It happens everywhere. But to say that it justifies somehow going in with troops and with paragliders, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
And from the paragliders, machine gunning people down and killing them in the street. No, there's no justification for that. And it needs to something. I think unfortunately what it's going to turn into is the Israeli army is just going to sweep through Gaza and just take out anybody that's any male between 16 and
80.
35
You go on.
has
Well,
a death sentence on their head.
They've taken out most of the houses and
If
housing.
they're not obviously military, Hamas military, then they will be assumed to be Hamas military because they don't want to take a chance and they don't want to do a Vietnam style of you never know who the soldier is and who the citizen is, so take them all out. And it's unfortunate. My biggest fear, and I think it's a legitimate one since the last couple of years has gone by, is and looking at the eruption of support for the Hamas and for the anti-Semitism that's going on in American cities the last 2 days, that seems a little bit orchestrated. Is how many terrorists have simply come through our southern border via wherever they started from and ended up through Mexico and coming into the country and now scattered around the country. And, they managed to organize this thing to do something that's never been heard of, which is get by an Israeli and U.S. intelligence.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're doing in the United States?
That's what's scary.
It is scary.
And I'm concerned about what we're going to see next and where it's going to be, and it
And when
might
it's gonna
very
happen.
well be in this country. It won't be anywhere near as big, but it might be one of these things like happened in France when they started offending the Muslims and they shot up theaters and started blowing things up.
Yeah.
Don't be too surprised if you don't see something in the next month in the United States.
All right. We're going to take another break, our first break here on the Coffee and program, actually. So, Melissa, it's time for a second message from the St. Antoine community.
What a great segue, Melissa. Good luck with that one.
Really got to work on the timing of the stories that we're discussing and how we're transitioning into.
You know what? Positive. Now we're going to go positive.
I know it just feels so irrelevant and not important, and but it is important. It's important,
It's
local,
important for your
important.
community, right.
I feel like we should be doing more now on a grander scale. But for now, we're going to stick with our plan for October and maybe come up with something different in November. But for right now, we are actually working to collect socks for Community Care Alliance in Woonsocket, help some of the homeless out in the area. So we're looking for your help. You can drop off sock donations, not worn. Original packaging, please. Always have to add that as a public service
I was gonna give you
announcement.
the ones I had on.
I know, because you're so generous, and I appreciate that. But please keep your socks that are on your body and go out shopping. So we are collecting them at both of our locations on the St. Antoine community property at the front desk of the villa, as well as the residence. So it's 10 Rhodes Ave or 400 Mendon Road. And also, graciously enough, last week, I'm going to call him Roger. It was Roger? Is his name Roger?
Oh, Randy.
Randy. Oh, I had the R.
Randy.
Randy was here, and he graciously offered to have a set-up shop at your Park Ave branch as well. So there is a bin there at that location. So if you are in the area and willing to drop off some brand new socks to help us out, we would greatly appreciate it. This is running the entire month of October. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, more coffee ads coming your way. Comments, questions can be called in at 766-1240.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hi, this is Kathy LaValle. The Honey Shop and Champs Diner are sponsoring a charity event to benefit Missy's Holiday Fund. Every year, family and friends of Missy's Family Restaurant come together to cook a delicious Thanksgiving dinner for our local veterans, homeless, and anyone in need of an amazing meal and companionship. To help us fund this project, we're inviting you to an epic showdown of flavors at our chili cook-off. The chili cook-off is on Saturday, October 28th, from 2 to 4 at Champs Diner, 719 Front Street in Woonsocket. We are seeking 10 talented contestants to showcase their best chili recipes. Whether you concoct a spicy masterpiece or a savory delight, this is your chance to vie for the title of Chili Champion. We also invite you to indulge in the ultimate chili dog created by me, Kathy LaValle, from the Honey Shop. Tickets are $15 to enter as a contestant or to join in the fun and have lunch. See you at the Chili Cook-Off on Saturday, October 28th from 2 o'clock to 4.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
All right, Coffee and on ONO Radio. Thanks for joining us. Tim Draper's here. Melissa Smith is here. John Ward is here. I am here, of course. And no school today at the community school in Cumberland.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had one of my staff had to leave to pick their daughter up.
They let them out early yesterday?
Well, they had got in. I guess there's a group of like schoolers, not preschool, but before school activities that happen. And so they were in the cafeteria, and the kids were all like getting headaches. And so they decided to, throw caution to the wind and just cancel school. So they told everybody else to stay home, and then they sent those kids home.
The strong odor of paint.
Yeah.
They painted over the weekend, I guess.
Yeah, if you're familiar with communities, which most people probably aren't, but there's like a U-shaped courtyard almost between an old building and the new building that they built. Mm-hmm. And I think they painted between those two buildings, and whatever paint they use just has a very noxious odor. Like I use dry lock in my basement to paint to seal the walls and keep the water out, and it has a very powerful smell. You got to wear a mask and a respirator and open windows and have ventilation. This area sort of doesn't have ventilation because it's a U-shape, like a courtyard. So it doesn't surprise me that there's no circulation there, and that all that fume would just kind of go into the systems and stuff. But you would have thought that it would only take a day to get that squared away. And here we are on day 2.
Can I ask why they're doing something like that now and not in the off-school?
They did as much as they could in the off season, but they needed to get the kids back, and they still have to finish some of the punch list items in the school. And this is just, I think, from my understanding, this is just one of those punch list items they needed to finish up.
The 3-day weekend. Let's
try to do it, right?
And they finished it. I mean, they completed the project. They didn't know this was going to happen.
Right.
They did reach out to the paint company. The paint is safe.
Yep. No
they
VOCs.
were concerned about that. What did you use? Did you use the right paint? And they did. So everything's okay there. So just one more day off for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not upset.
Gonna have to make that up somewhere.
Yeah, they're all bummed out about that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see other things are going on. You see, these stories could pop up a lot, and I don't get it because there's places you can go that if you want to see this kind of stuff. But people, the public, this is up in Boston. Public's asked for help to identify a man allegedly took photos of people undressing in changing rooms at a store in Boston. And I'm like, Police said the suspect wore a face mask. You know, that's a real.
It's a giveaway.
That's a giveaway right there. That,
Hey, here comes Batman.
Maybe that guy's up to no good.
Yeah.
He wore a face mask and entered several stores on Newbury Street in the Back Bay of Boston. Surveillance photos are posted on the police department's webpage that they're looking for this guy. You know, there's places you can go to if you
Right.
want to see.
How do you do
what
that, by the way, in a store during business hours?
I don't know. But people are bolder than ever before, right?
is-
They just
that is
don't
true.
they don't even care anymore.
Even
They're
when
like,
they're
"Yeah."
stealing stuff, they just walk in, grab it, and leave.
And everyone has this mentality of like, oh, I can't say that person looks suspicious or that because you might be hurt. Like,
Oh, you're
discriminate.
racist,
It
you're
becomes lots of
whatever.
things. So
Hurtful.
if
Right.
you're
You're
shopping
hurtful,
along
you don't
Newbury
care.
Street and you're
Profiling?
Profiling.
yeah, it gets to be that space too. You know.
You know, when you get back to how is it doing it? Are those selfie sticks? Are those still popular?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you can do it that way. You're,
suppose.
you're 3 or 4 feet away. Just sticking the camera in.
It's just
It looks pretty obvious if you're doing it that way.
It's just
there's nothing good.
nope.
It's funny. I read something, online, something about something that Europeans are surprised at about when they come to America, and that's one of them is that the changing rooms and public toilets, like in airports and things like
Yep.
that, the doors don't go all the way to the floor. In Europe, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here they don't. They're like, well, that's really odd.
It is
Why
kind of
is
odd.
it like that?
Money.
And
Probably
I never,
save some money.
Probably
I never
fire
thought
code,
about it.
Maybe fire code. Yeah.
so you can crawl out in case there's an emergency.
Well, if there's an emergency in Europe.
They don't care.
I go sanitation.
Okay.
I'll go sanitation.
Public bathrooms, you want to be able to like, oh no, I guess in a changing room in a store would be different, but I was thinking water, drainage, rinsing, I don't know, but yeah, I
there's
can't.
cost
I don't know. I
savings,
don't- I'm gonna go back to
sanitation,
fire code.
fire
I'll
code.
agree with fire
With
code.
3 different
I'm just
possibilities.
speculating because fire codes are so over the top.
Yeah.
As you well know, being involved with Autumn Fest.
You mean having a tent with exit signs? Those are my favorite. Get an exit sign at the exit of a tent with no sides. Where do I have to go? Oh, there's the sign.
Gee, I don't know.
I can't just walk out 2 steps behind me and leave.
Don't get me going.
His eyes just glazed over.
We have a metal building. We wanted to put a tarp on top of it. The fire could never even get through the metal roof. We wanted to put a tarp to keep the rain out.
Yeah.
It had to be fire resistant. So instead of paying $20 for a tarp, we'd have had to pay $150. So what we did was we didn't.
And then the
Just
water
got some
comes
waterproof
in.
tape and taped the seams.
Flex
So it
seal.
keeps the water out.
Flex seal.
But I mean, it's a metal structure.
Yeah. Well, hey, could burn. You never know.
And then what is it, 10 feet behind the booths now that has to be open
Yes.
to get by? And
The fire marshal had us put up orange snow fencing behind some of the food row people that faced the park, not where you were.
yes, no, I
John.
know. I saw
And
that.
people were complaining because they used to get their food and
And
then
go
walk
to the
between the food
tables.
vendors to walk
Yeah.
to the table, sit down and eat.
Yep.
Well, now they had to walk all the way around. Okay.
That's
And they,
fire
were-
lane.
and they complained because by the time they walked all the way around,
Food was cold.
the food was cold.
Right.
And why can't we walk through? Well, the fire marshal said we had to put this up.
That's their
Something to
fire.
do with the propane tanks.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
could see
virtually their
that.
fire lane too, in case they have to get behind
Yeah.
there for fire or something. It's
You're gonna have to rethink
Sorry.
that next year.
Well, we can't rethink it. The fire marshal wants it. You
No,
do
but I mean,
it.
you have to
No, in
rethink where you
terms of-
where you do it, where you let
well,
people
no,
out.
they put some eating areas between the booths. The eating
Yeah.
areas between the booths that worked well. That was always crowded. And I
Crowded,
think
though,
the
yeah.
fencing made it easier to get in and out of there. But you would think they would have let you put one opening maybe in the middle somewhere that allowed people to get into the concourse and
No,
out.
they saw it and they said, no, close it up.
I mean, I'm sure that they
So we
truly
did.
believe that it's for safety, but
Yeah.
it is so over the top. Like you say, exit signs on tents.
This way,
And
to
guess
the
what?
egress.
Guess what? If you had anything that generated heat, you would have needed a fire extinguisher.
Right. Exactly. I'm surprised you didn't have to have them anyway.
No fire extinguishers needed, John?
Oh, the fire extinguishers everywhere. We had to have 2 different ones because we have
2 different greases?
pots that heat up the apple cider that are electric. So you have to have one that can handle electrical fire.
Yep.
And then we have the grease, which means we have to have one for the grease fire. So we have 2 different fire extinguishers. Here's the problem.
They're both labeled the same.
Who's going to pick up which one, depending on a fire, if there ever is one, which there never is? I mean, are they going to pick up the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to even know? It's not like fire extinguishers say electric fires on them, or oil fires, or gasoline fires.
Well, some do.
They have a letter
They have a
on
code,
them. They have
yeah.
a code.
Yeah.
You know the
AB,
code?
it's a, well, I used to.
What's the AB? What's the K for?
Most normal people would know.
K?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
I
See, I
thought
don't
that was
remember
what
that.
they put on milk because it was kosher.
That I'm not aware of.
Yeah, no,
So I
there's
don't
all
know.
Just need a big
kinds of
sign.
codes. Nobody knows what they are. So you got two extinguishers. You pick up the closest one to
Yeah,
you.
and start
Oh,
using it.
wrong one.
Right. Well, when there's a fire, there's panic. So
That's right. Well, we're going to take another break here on the Coffee and program. Time for the weather forecast being brought to you by Compassion International.
Partly sunny skies today with a high of 67 degrees, calm wind. Tonight, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming mostly clear. Overnight low of 45. Thursday's weather mostly sunny, high of 67. Friday, sunshine and 62. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 58 and a 40% chance of showers. Sunday, mostly cloudy, 56 and a 60% chance of showers. Monday, mostly cloudy, 55 and a 50% chance of showers. And next Tuesday, mostly cloudy, 57 and a 40% chance of rain.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, we have cloudy skies with 52 degrees. Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hi, everybody. This is Linda Tebow for Aging Well in Woonsocket, inviting you all to a fun and special way to help us with our work at the Gaston Ayard Junior Senior Center. Join us for dinner and laughter as the famous Charlie Hall presents his hilarious look at aging well called Aging Disgracefully. What's more, Aging Disgracefully is at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, October 20th. No nighttime driving. Seating at the Senior Center Hall on Social Street is limited, so get your tickets today. Thanks to the generous financial support of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island, the tickets are only $30 for an afternoon of salad, dynamites, dessert, friends, and laughter you will never forget. Aging Disgracefully supports the health and wellness programs of Aging Well, Inc.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Okay, Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with John Ward and Melissa Smith and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for first message from Navigant Credit Union.
thank you, Joe. Just kind of want to remind everybody it's always a good time as we get into an impending holiday season here to be careful of all the scams that are out there. I guess Amazon has their big sale ends today, but there's a lot of talk and chatter in the industry about things that are not real online, that are faked, and for some of us folks that aren't as tech savvy, those things can be you can easily fall victim to those types of scams. As we always tell anybody, if you're not 100% sure about what you're doing, either online or if you're getting phone calls from people that don't sound familiar, take a moment, breathe, and then call somebody that you know for some help. So in our case, if it's a financial issue, you think that you might have been scammed, call Navigant at the 233-4700 and ask to speak to somebody on our security team, and they can help you out. And that's what we're here for, is to protect our members as best we can. So if you're, running into any of the struggles, then please do not hesitate to call. Or you can visit us at navigantcu.org. There's a whole senior safeguard section. There's a whole section on fraud and how to prevent it. So please feel free to make that visit.
All right there, Tim. Thanks. Got a note in, 766-1240. Baseball playoffs format needs to be changed. A week off promotes rustiness.
Just Ask Baltimore.
Yeah, about 7-1 or something last night.
Yeah. That was no, that wasn't that. That was Minnesota and
No, I
Houston.
thought it was Baltimore last night. Baltimore got crushed.
So
it was
Minnesota,
Nathan.
So did Minnesota.
Well, that's true.
All right.
Nathan Evaldi pitches for Houston.
Texas.
Texas.
No, Texas Rangers.
Yeah. The guy we didn't think was any good anymore. We let him
Yeah,
go.
we let him go. Now he's
Yeah, no,
ALCS now.
Right.
Yeah, a week off is not good. You know, keep playing the games. So, but they don't ask us this, and
They do not.
They
but
don't?
That's a point well taken.
all right. So they had that big fire in Pawtucket, left 7 people homeless. One firefighter from Providence got injured. He fell through the floor.
Eesh.
But non-life-threatening injuries though. But it's a dangerous profession.
That thing got worse as the
4
time went on.
alarms.
Right. It started off as a small fire, and then it just kept. One news broadcast was they were coming on, and it was just a small fire. The next thing you know, at the next news broadcast, it's like this is like totally fully involved.
Yep.
4 alarms.
Second floor. They think it started on the first floor, went to the second floor, then eventually got to the roof. They're still investigating what actually started this fire, so they're not sure yet. But at least everybody got out okay, so that's good.
Yeah, you're going to start to see that now now that the people have to start turning their heaters back on. That's the problem.
Turned the heat back on in the house yesterday.
Right.
Electric heaters.
I still avoided it.
Not on yet.
The first day it got cold, we left some windows open. I woke up,
Oh no,
I
jeez.
woke up in
Bird.
the morning. It's like, what is going on?
I love it.
I get to the
so
thermometer.
Melissa's so
I
happy.
get to
to-
the
So happy.
thermometer. It's like 45 outside. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Close these windows.
Time to close the windows.
I had my thermostats are like set to emergency. Come on if it's. I think it's 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Don't let the house go below 50 degrees. So it hasn't that hasn't happened yet. We haven't had to deal with that, but I turned the boiler on
Open
so
the
that it's ready to go.
windows. You'll see.
You can see how fast it
You can
goes.
test it.
Melissa, are you in charge of the heat at your house?
Well, I'm in charge of everything in my house. The heat discussion in my house is don't touch it till November 1st, but that's my husband's suggestion. But I use my
Yeah, that never
my
works.
discretion.
No, that never worked.
It never worked. A
We
couple times
tried.
it's
We haven't-
happened.
We haven't done it yet, but
You made it to November before.
Yeah,
turning
we've
the
made
heat
it to
on?
November.
Wow.
We had a wood stove. So that used to be something that we would utilize a little bit to bridge that gap because
All right.
October's funny. You sometimes can get these pockets of really warm days and it just keeps it warm enough through the night to get you through. But when we did our renovation last year, we pulled the wood stove out. So we'll see what happens this year.
I have the mini splits that can throw heat and air conditioning. So there's 2 strategically placed in my house that when it gets chilly in the morning, I might hit that for 10 minutes or
Just
20
to-
minutes just to take the chill off, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Trying to hold off as long as
I
I
like
can.
it cold.
Yes, you do.
I don't have a fancy thermostat, but it's programmable. So I basically, I don't know. I might have to change it now that I'm not working every day. But when we were working
Add it
every
to
day,
the
it was
list.
just that. At
Yeah.
about 5:30, the heat comes on just to get it to a certain temperature, and then it goes off.
Then it goes off. Yep.
And I dropped the temperature or raised the temperature to a level where I know it's not going to be, and it shuts
There
off
is-
for the day during the daytime, and then comes back on at about 4:30 when we're about to get home from work.
There is an argument that it's actually you use more energy
Doing that.
bouncing back and forth because your thermostat's programmed to usually about 2 degrees above or below. So if you set it for 68, it'll come on at 66, and then it's got to go up to 68, and a lot of times it'll go over a little bit, and then it comes back down again. So it's like a 4 or 5 degree swing that you're raising the temperature in your house, versus if you just kept it at 68, it's only like a 2 degree swing either way. So everything in your house stays warm, and it doesn't
I
use
think
as
that
much
depends on the
electricity.
quality of the insulation. Job.
That is true. That is true.
Because the
There's a lot to do with
insulation
that.
is what stabilizes the temperature over time.
Right.
Which
In my
so that you
1950s
don't have a
house,
lot of
which was like
swings.
2 inches of insulation in the walls, if it had any.
But the house I grew up in on Mendon Road was up for sale, and everybody looked at the price. It was only $399,000. Everybody kept asking, "Why do you think it's so cheap? It's such a big house." I said, "Yeah, well, there's 2 500-gallon oil tanks in the basement,
Ooh.
and you don't fill them just once. And if you ever punch a hole in the wall, you'll see that it's plaster and a little bit of horsehair and some wooden slats and stucco.
Right.
it.
That is it.
That does not offer a lot of insulation.
No,
So
it does not.
if you want it to be $1 million house, then go to the house, strip off all the stucco,
and insulate it.
add some exterior framing, put some insulation in.
Yep.
put new siding
That's why
up,
you moved.
spend that $200,000, then you will then add probably $400,000 to the value of the house.
Right, it was true.
Because the heat bill will go down so much.
Wow.
Oh, and remove the 500-gallon tanks from the basement because you won't
And
need
that
them
too.
anymore.
While you're opening up the walls.
Maybe just
strike
one.
more back.
Maybe one. Just leave one there.
All right. Pawtucket man died on 495 in Plainville. Car crash on 495 northbound. You know, they say nothing good happens after midnight. Happened at 3:45 in the morning.
Was he going to work or coming home
He
from
doesn't
somewhere?
say.
Doesn't say.
It sounds like that he fell asleep. Preliminary investigations indicate the car hit a guardrail, crossed 3 lanes of traffic, down an embankment, and burst into flames.
Yeah, that's why when I'm leaving for Virginia at 2:30 in the morning, I
Yep.
worry the most.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's the
Because
others, right?
it's the middle of the
You
night
just don't know.
drivers that you just don't know whether it's leaving a casino drunk, falling asleep at the wheel, something. And I'm just wide awake. I just got up after 5 hours of sleep, and I'm getting ready to go. And I get on the highway, hit cruise control, and I wonder what's coming
What's
at me.
around you?
There's not a lot of vehicles, but the few that are there, all of them are suspicious.
Right.
A couple of state troopers were able to pull the victim out of the car. He was transported to Sturdy Hospital, but passed away at the hospital. All right. Well, they're getting wealthier and wealthier in Massachusetts. The wealthy towns are getting wealthier.
Oh, yeah? Shocking.
Let's see. New data. Then the wealthiest zip codes in Mass getting wealthier. The Boston Business Journal reports annual median income increases by $10,000 to $20,000 in the communities of Dunstable. That's on the Cape, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Lexington, Manchester by the Sea, Sudbury, Dover, and parts of Newton.
Huh.
Wealthiest communities, median income is over $250,000 a year. So,
Well,
and if you ever see the homes
you
in
understand.
Dover, that's yeah,
You got to make that to afford those things.
yeah. They're not the 339,000 that
Right.
John's house here is getting. It's
That's right.
certainly a lot more. How'd everybody do? Everybody playing Powerball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
won.
not. But I think I might now.
I won $8.
I was just waiting for it to
That's
get
good.
really, really
I got
high.
one.
That's what gets the prize up so high.
So this is interesting. You look at the odds page, tells you how you win.
1 in
and
200
if you
million?
get if you get the Powerball, you get $4.
$4. Yeah.
If you get the Powerball and one number,
Yeah.
you still only get $4.
Really?
I'm like, that is odd. Why
I
is
should
that
get at
the
least
case?
6.
Right, get a little something extra.
Do you
get two
have numbers that you play, or do you just do
I just-
throw caution
When it's
to
like
the wind?
this, when it's if I you're almost crazy not to try, even for $2, just to
Right.
So yeah, we usually throw a quick pick out there and see what happens.
No, you can say no comment or whatever, but at Navigant and at St. Antoine, do you pool, the workers get together and like everybody throws in $2 and
Yep.
we'll buy, I don't know, 50
Yep.
quick picks.
And everybody hopes that we don't win because if we do, there's going to be a
Yep.
vacancy
Out
of
of
a lot of business.
That's
right?
so funny.
A
We
lot
have
of people
we have
will-
typed up a little informal contract about everyone will still return to work the next day. Like there is
That's
a
actually good. That's a
oh
good,
no,
yeah.
I started that because
Just to
you're involving
celebrate, right?
nurses, you're involving direct care people.
Right.
Like you
Yeah.
can't afford to have. And honestly, even if you win and you split the pot, $1 million isn't what $1 million used to be. I mean,
Right.
you're not talking about necessarily that you can
All set for
completely.
life, yeah.
it's just
I had to tell a friend that way back in the beginning with the grand lot.
Ooh, yeah.
And he won $50,000.
Oh.
And it was like, wow, look at all the money I got.
I'm gonna quit.
Don't get too excited.
yeah, no,
Right. You're
Take
going to get half
whatever
of
you
that.
get, find some debt, pay it off.
yeah, that gets you like
That's
a
all he
maybe
ended
a
up
nice
doing.
vacation.
I mean, it
and some
changed
debt.
his life because he got rid of some debt, serious
Yeah.
debt at the time. But it was like, yeah, don't get too excited. You're not rich.
Out of the
Retiring.
50,000,
He
how
was
much
only
did
in
he
his
actually?
20s.
How much did he actually get?
It was somewhere in the 30-some
Range?
$1,000
Okay.
range, but it was just like, don't get too excited.
Oh no,
It's going to pay some bills. That's all.
maybe a down payment on a
But
car.
Lincoln, yeah, no, he actually paid down his mortgage on it.
Oh, okay.
But that was back in the days when mortgage rates were high. So
Right.
You wanted to do that.
Smart.
Right.
So yeah, I Town of Lincoln Town Hall had it, and we always used to laugh because there was the longest time Joe Alman never got into the lottery, and we'd play pool for the whole office.
Yeah.
And it was like, Joe, if you ever show up and nobody's here, we
You-
won the lottery.
Actually, that's part of the reason why I do it too, is because I don't want to be the one that doesn't
Shows
win.
up.
Yeah,
That's right.
you know,
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, everybody else is gone, and
I
I'm still
retired.
there.
So it's
I
peer
retired
pressure.
I retired, and just yesterday I dropped off a 20 to the person who runs it because I'm still in.
Still in it.
Still there.
All right. That's funny. Whenever I pick the quick picks, they always give you, okay, 1, and that's usually one of the numbers that pops up. And
Yeah.
low numbers. And every time they draw the numbers, the first number, this was Saturdays, the first number was like 54. Like, and it's just going to go up from there.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
jeez.
I'd like
I
to
don't know.
return this one. Can I get another one?
This is no good. All right. Time for a second message, Tim, from Navigant Credit Union. So if you're not going to win Powerball, what's
Yeah,
the
if
best
you're
way
not
to
going
save
to
money?
Powerball. Well, if you do, hey, bring it in the Navigant Credit Union. We got
Yeah.
a lot of great accounts for you to use. But more importantly, let's talk about your children. And if you've got young folks in your house that are learning about finances, and there is a requirement now in the state of Rhode Island that they have to have financial literacy training before they graduate as part of their graduation criteria. So an Embark account at Navigant Credit Union actually will help them sort of manage that process of managing their money. So with the Embark account, we call it a spend account because we recognize that the young folks are going to want to spend the money, but rather than have them carry cash around in this sort of society, you want to have them have a debit card, and the Embark account allows them to have a debit card. You as a parent, however, do have control over where and how much, and there's some limitations that you can control on the debit card for them so that they don't get themselves in any sort of trouble. But the account also comes with online banking, mobile banking. They can do budgeting. There's a budgeting tool with online banking they can use to help them, plan better. But it's a great sort of starter account for young folks. They have to be between ages of 13 and 22, I believe. After 22, then it just reverts over to a regular one of our regular checking accounts. But during the time that they're in school, the Embark account does a great job at helping them manage their money. So 233-4700, you can talk to any one of our specialists. You could go online to navigantcu.org. You can even open this account, the Embark account, online at navigantcu.org. So $10 to start, and you're off to the races.
Very good, Tim. And more of the Coffee Ad program coming your way. Stay tuned.
For home-style cooked meals, you'll always be happy you decided to stop into Missy's Family Restaurant. They're open 7 days a week at 7 a.m. Breakfast is served all day. Great food, tasty food, with large portions is what you'll find at Missy's Family Restaurant. From juicy burgers and crispy fries to satisfying pasta dishes and fresh seafood. Bring your loved ones, enjoy a meal that will leave you feeling happy and satisfied. Missy's Family Restaurant, 801 Clinton Street, Woonsocket. Come on down and taste the difference.
We've unlocked the vaults, and we're replaying Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 70s. This week is from October 16th, 1976. That's when the Ritchie family found the best disco in town. Ringo Starr gave us a dose of rock and roll. Boston felt more than a feeling, and Wild Cherry played that funky music. You'll hear those songs and all the top 40 hits from October 16th, 1976, right here on American Top 40, the 70s.
Hi, this is Yvette Houle. Holy Trinity Parish Christmas Bazaar and Craft Fair is Saturday, November 4th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Parish Hall, 1371 Park Avenue, which is handicap accessible. Come browse the many gifts, crafts, and much more. There will be gift certificate raffle, split the pot, theme baskets, baked goods, and special raffles. Visit Santa, give him your wish list, and take photos with the children. There will also be a children's craft area to keep the children busy while the parents shop. The kitchen will be open for lunch and will include the popular dynamites, meatball sandwiches, hamburgers, hot dogs, fries, onion rings, and Venus de Milo soup. For further information, contact me, Yvette Houle, at 766-5663.
All right, Coffee Ad on ON Radio. Joe Callahan with Tim Draper, Melissa Smith, and John Ward is here as well. And Melissa, you must remember this story that we talked about last week. Remember the woman that was 104 years old and went skydiving in Chicago? She set a world record.
I do remember.
I feel like I remember the story, but I don't remember us. Did we talk about that? On the air?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay.
Anyway, she
But
passed away
Get out!
Really?
right after setting the record. She
Stop
passed.
it. Oh, she looked so happy.
She passed away in her sleep on Monday
Well, you know
It
what?
at
exhausted her.
104.
You know what?
That's a good life.
Yep.
Top it off with a skydive.
So she set the record last week. She landed on the ground at Skydive Chicago Airport. She topped the previous record held by a 103-year-old Swedish woman who jumped last year. Hoffner made her first skydive when she was 100.
Oh, wow.
Makes another one at 104. All happy. She was all happy in the.
She was.
that,
I
and
mean,
then,
could have been like
passed
the
away.
wind blowing her face in that
Face back.
direction. But you know, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
What a way to go out too, you know?
That's
Remember when
the
it-
old exclamation point on your life right there.
Right. Remember when you didn't ever hear of anybody making it to 100 years old? Now you hear them at 104,
yeah.
100.
It's normal.
Yeah.
It's too normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too normal. Which means, how do people afford to live to 104 years old, 110 years old?
Well, let me tell you.
That changes
Yeah.
that changes things a little bit
It
when you're trying to
changes.
plan for it.
I think long-term care insurance can only go so far. Normally, I would sit here and preach that would be a good option, but for the 100-plus-year-olds that I have living, even in assisted living, which we have 5 over 100, either still have some resources, have a really great, pension or whatever, and I have to say some kids end up bridging the difference in their rent, but it is mostly you're onto Medicaid, you're onto state benefits at that point, but. It's insane. It's we do have a large population, over 100, and I laugh all the time because I can think of one woman right now that's 103, living at the villa, and we have some that are moving in their late 70s, and I feel like she could do laps around them.
Yeah.
So it's really, I'm fascinated by the aging process, and I don't think it's anything that anyone's really doing, honestly. So diet fads, health this, health that, I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with like who you surround
Genetics.
yourself with in life. Is there a lot of
Your
love
attitude.
and
There's genetics. Yeah.
outlook on life? I think that matters too. And it's just it could be genetics. I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a scientific thing anymore.
There's a lot of. I think there's a lot of genetics involved.
I don't know anymore.
Some families live much older than others. Some people are predisposed to diseases that pass on from generation to generation. Heart disease is particularly one that seems to go from generation to generation.
We're just seeing a lot more like frontal lobe dementia and things that are really more environmental triggers that could be
Well,
from
that's-
drinking or
that's,
you know.
That's the other thing.
It's
the
that
things
stuff.
that come from drinking. I hate to
Stress.
say it, but a ton of things that happen to you in your older age started when you were in your 20s. I'm still a firm believer that many cancers, you actually do the act that triggers the cancer 20 years before it ever happens. And I use my own family as my example. Is my brother worked in a chemical mixing plant, and 23 years after he left there, and it was in Texas, and he was doing nothing in particular, he ended up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it started in his lymph glands in his groin area, which is pretty much a place where you sweat a lot and absorb a lot of material into your skin, and which he would have done when he was doing chemical mixing in his uniforms that would absorb the chemicals, and sure enough, that's what got him. And my father was a smoker up until the early 60s, and probably only for about less than 20 years, but he got tuberculosis back in 62.
Wow.
And the upper left lobe of his lung was severely scarred, but at the time they weren't removing body parts regularly like they would today.
Right.
And so he lived with it. And sure enough, that was in 62, 63. He went through recovery, and by the time he got to 1986, all of a sudden he had cancer in that lobe of his lung and the lymph nodes around it, and it spread and had full-blown lung cancer, and that's what got him. And so I always put that 20 to 25-year range on for events, so that if you're one who goes out and got serious tans and sunburns when you were in your 20s, then
baby oil on
you are
and
basically at risk in your 50s of having them carve sections of skin off of you.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Not when you're in your 30s.
No, later.
When you're in your late 40s, 50s. That's how long it takes. And then some event. Now the question is, what's the event that triggers it?
Right.
Triggers the growth, and so many other things. The speculation about what's causing such a severe increase in autism, and why do so many kids have ADHD, and it gets down to simple things. Some of the best arguments I've seen, especially about ADHD, is put the kids outside to play.
Oh yeah.
Burn off the energy.
Yeah.
Get
And
rid of it.
processed foods.
Get rid of it.
I do
Empty
believe
their gas
that.
tank.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't keep a kid sitting in front of a TV and expect them not to have
Playing video
No.
games, right?
attention problems.
It's funny. We were laughing. We were at I was mentioning that my husband and I went down to Mystic this weekend for a couple of days, and we were at a brewery and laughing to ourselves that I couldn't get over how many families were there with kids. And my husband was kind of annoyed by it. He's like, I can never see ourselves doing this when we had little kids. You got people having 2 or 3 beers, holding babies, passing them around. But then I said to him, I'm like, but all the kids that are out here, it's fresh air. They had huge rolling logs out there, right? These kids are not in front of a TV. They don't even have devices in their hands. We had a little kid come over to us. We had our beers on top of a little barrel thing that had a hole in its side. And she comes over and she starts putting rocks into the hole of the side of the barrel. And I'm talking to her because, of course, I go into mom mode and I'm like, miss my little kids being that age. And so I'm just totally momming her. And she's telling me all about how the barrel that our beers are sitting on is a little dog by the name of Lucky. She named this barrel Lucky, and she was feeding the dog rocks. And her imagination was through the roof. And I thought,
That's great.
suddenly I was okay with it. I'm like, I know we're at a brewery, and I know there's parents having a few beers, holding babies, and that seems strange, but at least they've brought their family outside into the open air for 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon. It was, you know.
My sons and daughters-in-law, they take the kids to the breweries with them all the time. As a matter of fact,
now the dogs.
My granddaughter's, I think it was her 5th or 6th birthday.
They have a birthday party there?
Was at a microbrewery.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, there were balloons there. They were pink and purple.
Well,
I can't imagine that was
yeah,
for
it
a
was
40th birthday.
It was a big
do-
space, and they had a wide open space in the back with picnic tables laid out, and they had cornhole that they played
So this is
competitions.
your market, and the microbrews are, people 21 to 45, right? That's your target demo. Those are the people having kids. So if you want them to come to your
But on a
brewery,
Saturday afternoon, bring the kids. Have
bring
your
the
birthday
kids.
party.
That's right. We're going to put stuff outside for them to play.
Honestly, it's cheaper than going to a bowling alley. You're
Red
sitting
Sox
there,
game.
you're bringing some cupcakes because they allow you to picnic and they allow you to bring because they want you to stay there all day.
Speaking of bowling alleys, Topgolf is open.
I know. I'm so excited.
Preston, right?
Bowling with a golf ball.
I'm sure it's got to be booked for like everyone I'm talking to is going there.
But
Is
you
it?
got 3 levels. It's
Yeah,
like
there's
60 different tee areas.
Yeah, there's a bunch of places. It's big.
Although I did last time I was down in Virginia Beach, we went to try to get into Topgolf, and how long's the wait? An hour and a half.
Ugh. By the way, there's another one in Canton that's going to
I
be
was
opening
just
up.
going to say, I saw the
So there's
construction
2
for
within about the same distance if you live in the northern part of the state.
They'll both be busy.
They'll both be.
I drove by the one in Cranston a day or 2 before they opened.
Yeah.
Huge. Because
It's
it's
striking.
right on Route. It's right by Route 37.
It's crazy how big that place is.
It's huge, and the nets go up. I don't know, 30 stories
Probably
to make sure they don't hit any cars.
Right.
on the
That's
highway.
how you know you're near a Topgolf. You just look for the nets off.
That's
the
right.
highway.
Oh, it's
They have to
huge.
put the little red lights for low-flying aircraft on the top of those poles.
Fortunately, my son that lives up in Ashburn, there's one in the Dulles Mall area that they have a Topgolf, and down in Virginia Beach, there's one there too. So
I will say, I've played it.
Wherever
It's
I'm
fun.
visiting, I can get to go to Topgolf.
Yeah. It's a fun time. It's not like golf hitting 18 holes.
It's a bowling
It's a
alley.
game,
It's
right.
a concept like a bowling alley.
Right. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, it's not just go drive a bucket of balls.
No, not at all.
Oh, good Lord, no. There's
I
targets.
just thought it was a driving range.
No, there's targets out there, and you're shooting at targets, and you're scoring points, and it keeps score. There's actually trackers on the balls that you hit. So the ball you hit actually shows up on your score pad
Yeah.
above, depending on what score you get in the various targets at various distances.
Oh, I didn't realize
Right.
it
The
was.
closer you get to
it
the
was
center,
a game
it's like a
like
bullseye.
that.
The closer you get to
Yeah.
the center, the more points you get. So you're trying to. It's a little
You're
bit
trying
more
to hit things.
It's a little more
Target
skill. It's a little more target shooting
Wow.
than it
They
is just the
literally
driving
have a
range.
chip in every ball.
In every ball.
Yeah.
That it knows
Where
where,
it's
it's
going.
coming from,
And where it's going.
where it goes, and
What
it
it
goes
hits.
into your score.
Yep.
So there's no cheating, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm sure somebody will find a way.
Pick it up and throw it.
You're not bringing your own.
That's how I play golf.
Pro
There's
V1s.
lots of
That's-
cheating.
There's frustration when you hit the edge of the ring in the center and it bounces
It's
off
off.
and goes outside.
God, I hate that.
All right. Out in California, some students are recovering after eating candy-like sleep aid gummies at school. Alameda County fire officials say crews were called to the John Muir Middle School Monday afternoon after nurses on campus reported at least one student acting strange. It was determined that a student had brought the sleep aid gummies to school, handed them out to about 6 of their friends. No one was hospitalized, but several students who ingested the gummies were sent home for the rest of the day.
Did kids really need gummies to help them sleep during class? I mean,
Well,
I
they
thought that
probably
was
did.
just normally what you did. That's what I did.
They probably weren't told they were
least
gummies.
it's not
I'm
Tide.
pretty sure they didn't
least it's
know
not
they were
Tide
the sleep
Pods.
aid.
Tide Pods.
Tide
right?
Pods,
Tide
yeah.
Pods.
I have
Gronk.
said they make them a little too tasty, like the elderberry ones to help you sleep. And I don't have a major sleeping issue, but every so often you hit a stressful stretch and you're like, oh, I can't sleep. I just need something. The little chewy elderberry things, they're
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So I feel like if you're a kid who's ever been offered one from a parent,
This wasn't part of the offerings of edibles that are out there.
No, this is like a sleep aid.
These are sleep pills.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the
Chewies.
kid that brought them could have said, "Hey, these are edibles, so take some."
Kind of
They'll
thing.
True.
Make you feel
Similar
fun.
to what I gave to a barking dog once that was interfering with our family cookout in the neighborhood.
Why do I feel so sleepy?
He stopped barking after a while and fell asleep. I suppose I shouldn't admit it.
Is this the
but-
new dog? This is
No,
the.
no, this was, we had a big family gathering and the people next door had left and the dog was racing along the fence, barking, just would not stop. It was incessant. I asked my mother if she had a sleeping pill because she had medical problems and needed sleeping pills, and so she gave me one and I cut it in half just to make it smaller. I threw it in a piece of meat and I stuck it in a hole in the fence, and about 15
Chow
minutes,
down on it?
about 15 minutes later the dog stopped barking.
So this wasn't your dog. I'm
And then-
rethinking this
It
whole
wasn't dead.
visual. This
And
was your
then,
neighbor's
you know,
dog.
I mean, the dog was fine. It just took a nap.
Oh my God.
We're having a party.
We had a
together.
great cookout.
After that, right? I guess so. All right, that does it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Tim Draper, thanks for coming in.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me. Thanks, you guys, for being fun guests and partners.
All right, Melissa Smith, thanks for coming
That's
in.
really nice of you.
I'm in
Thank
that kind
you,
of, I'm in
Tim.
that kind of mood.
Thank you. Yeah, no, good to see everybody. See you next week.
All right,
Yes,
John Ward.
and it's another great Wednesday after Autumn Fest, right before Friday the 13th. So quickly before that comes, go out and enjoy the God-given day.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember is coming up at 9:30?
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Federal officials are in Boston, Massachusetts to assess the migrant crisis in that state.